Hi, this is Brian Schiff with Functionally Fit. In this column, we're going to discuss and demonstrate an exercise that is really useful for improving not only core stability, but hip stability as well. Oftentimes, I'll find asymmetries in clients or limitations in these areas. People that are coming back from an injury, or even just training in general, have an inability to resist the forces of gravity and have subtle losses of stability at different points in movement patterns. We all know that planking is a good way to just build some static resistance to extension, if you will, so an anti-extension exercise. Anti-rotation exercise training is important as well. So I'm going to show you a plank variation using these sliders to introduce some hip abduction to the movement pattern. It's really effective for working on pillar strength, kind of through the torso, shoulders, hips, that whole region, that integrated chain, if you will. And then by introducing some active hip abduction, we bring a different element of movement into it, so we're still trying to maintain pillar alignment while we have a dynamic hip movement as well. So position the client, toes obviously kind of in the center of the sliders. And then I like to do it, usually I'll start down in a traditional forearm plank position. We cue the client to do a little chin tuck so they don't have a forward head posture. So we'll get there with the elbows under the shoulders, and then we'll just press up into our plank position. Once they're engaged and we've got them in good alignment, we'll slide out, pause, come back to midline, we'll slide out on the other side, pause, and back to midline. So we're kind of working reciprocally, under control, making sure we maintain our neutral spine, and then coming back in. One of the key issues is if they swing out too far, we can introduce too much motion and have excessive rotation. So they're working really at that point to restrain that rotation. But the cadence is important, so I like to come out slowly, pause, and come back in. If the alternate pattern proves to be too much, we can regress and do one leg at a time. So the exercise presents a nice opportunity to work on some endurance through the pillar while we introduce a little dynamic movement, so we can work on pelvic stability and really some of that hip stability, if you will. And in terms of repetitions, again, I prefer a nice controlled cadence, so a lot of times I'm somewhere in that 8 to 10 rep range, or 30 seconds tends to be a good amount of time for most of your clientele. You may need to provide some tactile cueing, particularly if they start to get hyperlordotic, or if you see too much rotation to hips, or just loss of control. Really nice exercise though, to focus on core and pelvic stability.